In this world, nothing is certain except death and taxes. But unlike death, you do taxes over and over again. Today, hagamos los impuestos in Spanish. Bienvenidos. Welcome to Business Spanish. The Business Spanish Podcast will help you develop your skills as a bilingual professional in negotiation and communication, whether you're in the boardroom or the break room. I'm your host, Michelle, and I invite you to join us in each episode as we explore the Spanish of different industries, business disciplines, and cultures. ¿Listos? Manos a la obra. Hola, muy buenos días, y welcome back to another episode of Business Spanish. Gracias por su paciencia. It has been a while since our last episode. I took my family on a trip to Guatemala, and we have been busy with Easter celebrations and preparing taxes. Así es, mis amigos. Here in the United States, we are required to file taxes every year by April 15th. These include both personal and business income taxes, which we submit to the IRS, which stands for the Internal Revenue Service, o el Servicio de Impuestos Internos, a federal agency of the United States. So, to commemorate Tax Day, on this episode, we will talk about taxes. We'll start with some basic vocabulary and then do some translation exercises. All the material we present today is taken directly from the IRS. Note that the terms we use today are those most commonly used in the United States, under the jurisdiction of the federal government. Other Spanish-speaking countries may vary in their use of tax terms. In certain cases, we will point out terms more commonly used in Puerto Rico, which is subject to U.S. federal tax law as well. But first, I want to thank you for listening to our podcast and remind you to subscribe and leave us a good review. Doing so will help us reach a wider audience and ensure that we continue to bring you future episodes of Business Spanish. Also, please check out our Instagram and Facebook for the Spanish phrase of the day. You can find us as Alcanza Vale International and on YouTube as Serious Spanish. I'll put those links in the description to this episode. Now it's tax time, so let's get to it. Well, we already mentioned it in the intro to this podcast, but los impuestos is how we say taxes in Spanish. Of course, if you're here in the United States, you may often hear Spanish speakers refer to taxes as los taxes, but the correct and more Spanish term is los impuestos. Now, when we are using tax as an adjective to describe something else, we will use one of the following words: tributario, impositivo, contributivo, or fiscal. I'll repeat those. Tributario, impositivo, contributivo, o fiscal. So here are some examples using those words to mean tax as an adjective. El beneficio tributario is tax benefit. El beneficio tributario. El incentivo contributivo is tax incentive. El incentivo contributivo. La política fiscal is tax policy. La política fiscal. And of course, you may hear different adjectives used to describe those same nouns, because those four words that we gave you, tributario, impositivo, contributivo, and fiscal, all refer to tax when used as an adjective. Presentar la declaración de impuestos is to file a tax return. Presentar la declaración de impuestos. Now, Puerto Rico likes to do things their way, and so they often will say to file a tax return is to radicar la planilla de contribución. Radicar la planilla de contribución. El reembolso is something that every taxpayer wants to get back at the end of the fiscal year. A refund. El reembolso. Or in Puerto Rico, we say el reintegro for refund. El reintegro. La deducción is easy. It's a deduction. La deducción. And we know that we get deductions for our dependents. So a dependent, when we're speaking about taxes, is el or la dependiente. El dependiente or la dependiente. El crédito tributario is tax credit. And this is one everybody needs to know, which generally falls on el 15 de abril. Es la fecha límite. La fecha límite, which means deadline. Now, if we are a business and we are going to file our tax return, how we do so depends in a great part to what kind of business structure or business type we have. And so we're going to learn what the IRS uses to define these different business types. La clase or la estructura de negocio, of course, means business type or business structure. Un empresario de cuenta propia is a sole proprietorship. El empresario or la empresaria de cuenta propia. La sociedad colectiva is partnership. La sociedad colectiva. El negocio internacional is international business. El negocio internacional. La sociedad anónima is what the IRS uses in Spanish to refer to a corporation. La sociedad anónima. La sociedad anónima de tipo S is an S corporation. La sociedad anónima de tipo S. La compañía de responsabilidad limitada is a limited liability company, or as we abbreviate, an LLC. So many small businesses are an LLC. When you're filing your taxes with the IRS, if you're doing it in Spanish, you are una compañía de responsabilidad limitada. El contribuyente or la contribuyente is the taxpayer. So, todos somos contribuyentes. We are all taxpayers. El or la contribuyente. El ingreso bruto ajustado is adjusted gross income, which is often abbreviated as AGI. El ingreso bruto ajustado. Los ingresos tributales o los ingresos imponibles is how we say taxable income. Los ingresos tributales o imponibles. Las deducciones detalladas are itemized deductions. So in the United States, we have the option to take the standard deduction or itemized deductions. So if we say, I itemize my deductions, in Spanish, we say, yo detallo mis deducciones. So itemized deductions are las deducciones detalladas. Los impuestos estimados are estimated tax, such as the payments that we make quarterly as a small business or sole proprietor. Los impuestos estimados. Los impuestos sobre la nómina is employment tax. La nómina means payroll in Spanish, but we translate this phrase to mean employment tax. Los impuestos sobre la nómina. La declaración enmendada is amended return. So how would you say amended return using Puerto Rican Spanish? That's right. La planilla enmendada. La retención is withholding. La retención. Okay, we're going to move on. And I took a few small paragraphs from the news section of the website for the IRS, which is basically press releases. And we are going to do a little translation exercise. I'm going to read the Spanish paragraph or article, and then we're going to analyze that and translate it into English. So let's start. El IRS tiene una sólida temporada de impuestos en marcha, a medida que la agencia continúa procesando declaraciones de impuestos de 2022 y entregando reembolsos, con 1 de cada 10 reembolsos emitidos en menos de 21 días. Al 31 de marzo, el IRS envió casi 63 millones de reembolsos por valor de más de 183 mil millones. El reembolso promedio de este año hasta ahora es de $2,910. Okay, let's take a look at this. And we will start with the first phrase, el IRS. So that's the IRS, of course. Tiene una sólida temporada de impuestos en marcha. Has a solid tax season. So temporada de impuestos is tax season. En marcha, we can say it means underway. And then it goes on to say, a medida que la agencia continúa procesando declaraciones de impuestos de 2022. So, a medida que, as, la agencia continúa procesando, the agency continues to process declaraciones de impuestos de 2022, 2022 tax returns, y entregando reembolsos, and deliver refunds. And it goes on to say, con 1 de cada 10 reembolsos emitidos en menos de 21 días, with 1 of every 10 refunds issued. Emitir, remember, is to issue, so emitidos is the adjective for that, issued, en menos de 21 días, in less than 21 days. Al 31 de marzo, so as of March 31st, el IRS envió casi 63 millones de reembolsos. The IRS sent out almost 63 million refunds por valor de más de 183,000 millones de dólares, for value or worth over $183 billion. So, billion is expressed as 1,000 millions, mil millones. You will hear, in some cases, you will hear native speakers say billón for billion, mil millón or billón. Moving on, el reembolso promedio de este año, this year's average refund, hasta ahora, so far, es de $2,910. Is $2,910. So that's good news. Lots of refunds coming out, with an average refund of almost $3,000. Okay, now I selected the next article that we are going to translate because it talks about what we call a gig economy, or an economy in which there are a lot of people doing on-demand work. And we've seen this rise, of course, with the pandemic. On-demand, freelance, remote, web-based work. And so the IRS is sending us an important message about this gig economy that we are currently living. And the title of this is Las ganancias de la economía compartida son tributables. Gig economy earnings are taxable. So, la economía compartida is the term that the IRS is using to translate gig economy. La economía compartida basically means shared economy. So the article starts, en general, los ingresos obtenidos de la economía compartida están sujetos a impuestos y deben informarse al IRS en las declaraciones de impuestos. En general, los ingresos obtenidos. Generally, income obtenidos, acquired or earned, de la economía compartida están sujetos a impuestos. From the gig economy is taxable. So están sujetos a impuestos means is subject to tax. Y deben informarse al IRS en las declaraciones de impuestos. And must be reported to the IRS on tax returns. The second paragraph of this says, la economía compartida es una actividad en la que las personas obtienen ingresos proporcionando trabajo, servicios o bienes a pedido, como vender bienes en línea, conducir un automóvil para hacer entregas o alquilar una propiedad. A menudo es a través de una plataforma digital como una aplicación o sitio web. So let's break that down a little bit. La economía compartida es una actividad. The gig economy is an activity en la que las personas obtienen ingresos proporcionando trabajo, where people earn income providing work, servicios o bienes a pedido, services or goods on demand, como vender bienes en línea, such as selling goods online, conducir un automóvil para hacer entregas, driving a car for deliveries, o alquilar una propiedad, or renting out property. A menudo es a través de una plataforma digital, Often it's through a digital platform, como una aplicación o sitio web, such as an app or a website. Hola amigos! I hope you're enjoying this podcast and learning ways to improve your professional Spanish skills. Interested in one-on-one coaching? In addition to this podcast, I offer private and small group Spanish lessons online for beginner to intermediate speakers. For a limited time, your first session is free. For more details, leave a comment or email BusinessSpanishPodcast@gmail.com. See the show notes for more information. Okay, now listen closely to our final press release that we are going to translate from the IRS. El Servicio de Impuestos Internos les recordó hoy a los contribuyentes de bajos a moderados ingresos, en especial aquellos que normalmente no presenten una declaración de impuestos, a que consideren Free File del IRS para que preparen su propia declaración de impuestos y reciban reembolsos por créditos tributarios fáciles de pasar por alto. La fecha límite de presentación de impuestos de 2023 para individuos es el próximo martes 18 de abril. La única manera de obtener un reembolso es presentando una declaración de impuestos. Free File del IRS permite a los contribuyentes que califican a recibir un reembolso por depósito directo gratis. El programa es una alianza entre el IRS y varias compañías de software de preparación de impuestos que proveen su software de preparación y presentación de impuestos en línea gratis. El software es seguro, fácil y preciso y debe ser accedido a través de irs.gov. Okay, great. So this is a press release that's talking about a free way to file your taxes online through the IRS. Let's go ahead and break it down and translate it line by line. El Servicio de Impuestos Internos, the Internal Revenue Service, les recordó hoy a los contribuyentes de bajos a moderados ingresos, today reminded low to moderate income taxpayers, en especial aquellos que normalmente no presentan una declaración de impuestos, especially those who don't normally file a tax return, a que consideren Free File del IRS para que preparen su propia declaración de impuestos. To consider IRS Free File to prepare their own federal tax return. Y reciban reembolsos por créditos tributarios fáciles de pasar por alto. To receive overlooked tax credits or refunds. So pasar por alto can mean to miss, as in to not notice something, or to overlook something. And here we see the adjective tributario referring to tax. So créditos tributarios are tax credits. La fecha límite de presentación de impuestos de 2023, the 2023 Federal Tax Filing Deadline para individuos es el próximo martes 18 de abril. For individuals is next Tuesday, April 18th. La única manera de obtener un reembolso es presentando una declaración de impuestos. The only way to get a refund is to file a tax return. Free File del IRS permite a los contribuyentes que califican. IRS Free File allows qualified individuals or qualified taxpayers a recibir un reembolso por depósito directo gratis. To get a refund by direct deposit for free. El programa es una alianza entre el IRS y varias compañías de software de preparación de impuestos. The program is a partnership between the IRS and several tax preparation software companies que proveen su software de preparación y presentación de impuestos en línea gratis. So the companies who provide their online tax preparation and filing software for free. El software es seguro, fácil y preciso. The software is safe, easy, and accurate. Y debe ser accedido a través de irs.gov and must be accessed through irs.gov. So are you a tax expert now in Spanish? Unfortunately, some of these press releases and advice from the IRS might be a little late for you to file your 2022 taxes. But feel free to visit the IRS website throughout the year to brush up on some of your Spanish. They don't want to leave any taxpayers out of the loop just because of a language barrier. Remember, you can get the vocabulary that we went over in this episode along with the press releases that we read and their English translation in the description of this podcast. I'm wishing you and your business grandes reembolsos, big refunds this year. Thanks for tuning in y hasta la próxima.